In recent years, world news has been concerned about the negative effects of human activity. Pollution of the oceans with plastic, deforestation, and depletion of non-renewable resources, all of this leads to climate change. Various catastrophes caused by the human factor also damage the Earth, and in response, nature is trying to destroy humanity through horrific disasters like earthquakes, hurricanes, typhoons, and mudflows. Hey, you're watching Wisey, and today we're discovering the biggest natural disasters in the past 100 years and their impact on people. The China floods, 1933. Water is a terrible and terrifying force of nature. After prolonged droughts in the winter of 1930, there were severe snowstorms in China, and already in the spring, a thaw and continuous heavy rains significantly raised the water levels in the Yangtze and Yellow rivers. The showers continued in the summer, raising it by another 70 centimeters every month. The rivers overflowed their banks and reached the former capital of Nanjing. Just imagine, this huge amount of water covered 180,000 square kilometers of land. In the first months of the flood, about 150,000 people drowned, and hundreds of thousands more died the following year due to starvation and a food crisis. It was reported that about 25 million people were affected by this large-scale flood. However, modern scientists claim this figure is understated, and that the real number is actually 53 million. The Huascarán debris avalanche, 1970. Another fatal disaster occurred in 1970 in the Peruvian city of Yungay when a vast avalanche and mudflow formed after the earthquake, destroying several towns. Mount Huascarán had been considered unstable since 1962, when a big avalanche descended from it, destroying several villages. But the government was afraid of panic, and so they hid information about the danger. As a result, when after 8 years an earthquake destabilized the glacier at the top and the snow mass crawled down with it, most of the people didn't survive. The glacier turned into a mudflow with stones and ice, sweeping away everything in its path. The number of victims was high as thousands of people from the nearest villages gathered in the market in Yungay. Mudflows buried several cities and thousands of missing people were never found. According to various estimates, about 18 to 25,000 people died. Miraculously, those who managed to climb an artificial hill were saved. Also, 300 out of 400 survivors were children who attended a circus performance and followed the clown to the hill after the event. The Iran blizzard, 1972. Continuing our list of the 7 most devastating natural disasters in the past 100 years is a severe snowstorm. For Iran, snowfall was a regular weather phenomenon in the winter, especially in mountainous areas. But it was never really heavy, not until February 3rd, 1972. Initially, light snow started, which did not surprise anyone and didn't cause fear. But it changed when severe winter storms began in the country's northwest, south, and heartland. Many people who lived in the countryside remained cut off from others and decided to wait out the bad weather at home. But the snow didn't stop throughout the week, and the temperature was very low. During these days, up to 8 meters of snow fell in some areas. Some villages were buried under thick snow. Their roofs could not withstand the weight and collapsed, causing people to freeze from the cold. The death toll of this extreme Iranian blizzard was over 4,000. Now time to take a break with our Wisey fact of the day. Have you ever wondered how many people over the world die in natural disasters every year? The answer is 60,000. Pretty harrowing, right? That's the price we have to pay for destroying our planet. The Tangshan Earthquake, 1976. The power of the Earth is no less terrifying, and our next story is a testament to that. The Chinese city of Tangshan was not considered a seismic hazard until July 28, 1976, when it saw one of the largest earthquakes in terms of impact and human casualties. The Tangshan earthquake measured an 8.2 in magnitude and destroyed 90% of the city's buildings in minutes. Even Beijing was partially affected despite being 140 kilometers from the epicenter. The next day, on July 29th, survivors helped restore the infrastructure and look for the wounded after the disaster. But there was a second shock with a magnitude of 7.1, which killed many more. The death toll is truly terrifying. The Chinese authorities admitted the deaths of almost 250 64,000 people. 164,000 were injured, more than 700 families were missing, and 4,200 children were orphaned. Even more shocking was the evidence of government underreporting. Other sources speak between 600,000 and 800,000 dead. The government did not release the figures until the Seismological Service released them in 1988. Interestingly, before the disaster, scientists predicted an earthquake in Haicheng using a new network of stations, and people managed to evacuate. But in 1976, the system failed to provide a warning. The Bangladesh Tornado, 1989. The element of air is also quite dangerous, as proved by the Daulatpur Saturia tornado in Bangladesh, which was the deadliest one in history. This type of natural disaster is common to the country's climate, but half a year of drought in the area intensified the impending catastrophe. On April 29, 1989, a giant funnel about 1.5 kilometers wide advanced towards the densely populated cities of Bangladesh. Most of all, the tornado affected the towns of Santuria and Daulatpur, killing about 1,300 people and wounding 12,000. About 150 square kilometers were affected by the cataclysm, which is almost the area of Liechtenstein. It's hard to imagine, but the wind speed in the funnel reached between 180 and 350 kilometers per hour. Consequently, the tornado swept away everything in its path, leaving 80,000 people homeless. Let's take a break and do our new quiz. Which areas do you think are most often affected by natural disasters? A. Prosperous areas of cities on the coast, rich countries. B. Areas of extreme poverty, low and middle income countries. Or C. Remote, solitary, and isolated settlements. The correct answer is B. Natural disasters, especially hurricanes, affect areas of extreme poverty the most. Significant fatalities tend to occur in low and middle income countries that do not have the necessary infrastructure to prevent, respond early, or deal with the aftermath of a disaster. So it turns out that the richer choose to live in safer areas, and the impoverished, more vulnerable, live in more dangerous locations. The Indian Ocean Tsunami, 2004. Sometimes earthquakes are the beginning of other disasters. On December 26, 2004, an underwater earthquake with a magnitude of 9.3 occurred in the Indian Ocean. Such strong tremors caused a tsunami, which became the deadliest in the history of humankind. Although the earthquake's epicenter was in the ocean near Indonesia, the waves, which were over 15 meters high, reached the coasts of 13 countries, including Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, and South Africa. In some cities, the waves crashed as far as 4 kilometers into the shore. Over the next 3 days, there were 63 aftershocks with a magnitude of 6 and higher. According to various estimates, the resulting death toll was between 225,000 and 300,000 people. However, the exact numbers are still unknown, as many people were carried away by the waves into the ocean. And finally, the Haiti earthquake of 2010. And now, here's a story of how a 35-second earthquake ruined the lives of thousands of people for many years. On January 12, 2010, a 7-magnitude earthquake almost wholly destroyed the capital of Haiti, Port-au-Prince, and the numerous aftershocks that came after only intensified the destruction. About 3 million people were left homeless. The capital was left without thousands of residential buildings, and particularly without hospitals. Haiti had a long history of national debt, exacerbated by foreign interference in national affairs and the partisan trade policies of other countries. That's why Haitians had a high level of poverty and poor housing conditions, which increased the death toll. According to official statistics, more than 222,000 people died, 311,000 were injured, and almost 900 people went missing. Living in the 21st century may seem like everything has become safer, but the planet clearly disagrees with this, creating more and more dangers from earthquakes and tsunamis to tornadoes and extreme heat. Although humans cannot control nature, the development of technology makes it possible to predict some of the disasters that could take hundreds of thousands of lives. In addition, despite all the challenges humanity has shown, its ability to persevere and survive for thousands of years. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more content about anything and everything. Thanks for watching. See you in our next episode.